Okay, let's get started again. A few people will probably still join us in a second, but that's quite all right. I have tried to group this literature as well a little bit, and that is kind of the topics that we are revisiting throughout the semester, of course. You can see that there are quite practical applications. Yeah, I go briefly through them. Since the 60s and 70s, we have really started to see a professionalism of project management. Yeah, suddenly people are asking for, are you really a project manager? Or, well, maybe without the but they ask, are you qualified? How can you give us confidence that you can manage this project? Yeah? This was a thing really arising end of the 50s, 60s really. And along that came really this notion or removal from the operational research side and system tools that were developed before. Yeah? In parallel, if you actually look at the bottom bubble, organization and people became an important part of that. Yeah? In the past, we hadn't looked so much at how we work good together, but more at how we actually do the project in its individual parts, which was quite a different thing. Well, more recently, we had in the same notion as well big philosophic debates. We have like, we could stereotype it probably as three big project typologies. Actually, we come to project typologies where we kind of arrive at 4 to 5. But, well, this is from literature. But there was a notion where project management was seen as an implementation tool, not so much as a design tool. And probably very much on the other side, there was a notion of the project management tool of delivering what the client wants or what a market segment, what users want. Yeah, and those were very different project settings. And there was a big debate really in the 80s, in the 70s, 80s, and we have just restarted that really with the notion of that we have even now very weird projects. You have probably noticed them. We have to be, what Alex was talking about, we have to be more green. Yeah? Depending, if you're coming from America, then that will make more sense to you than saying actually you have to live more sustainable. Yeah, so we have now projects that are not based on a positive achievement. We have an output that we can measure in a product or service, but we have denial projects, things that we shouldn't do. Yeah, we had that in the past before, but never in that scale, and this has different implications. So along that we have externalities, so this is really the context and environment, so there we are looking at stakeholder management and associated things. Risk I leave really to more or less to Claudio and a little bit to Alex, but we will have a look at the benefits and value, and with it as well the project legacy or the notion of project success beyond the project remit, beyond the organizational remit, but a more wider remit. Yeah? And that is really where the legacy came in. You can see quality and quality management is surprisingly dead. I'm sorry to be the messenger of that, it's dead. The literature kind of ends to be really advancing in the, what is that, zeros? We had there still a few applications. We think now in different terms. We think about usability. Is it getting bought? Is somebody buying it? This is good enough. Yeah, so you see as well a lot of reverse engineering with product design or service design. Yeah, in EasyJet, yeah, you do actually what before operator at the airport is doing. Yeah? You get your own ticket. You pick where you want to sit. You can pick then your seat if you pay another £5, I think. Yeah, this is an EasyJet specific analysis. But we have actually a lot of services have removed themselves from non-value adding activities, and we still kind of go with it. Yeah? Ryanair has at the moment a little bit issues, but this is very specific to our aerospace, or actually tourism really. And with it came as well notions from assurance and governance, so that they have actually kind of added each other out, and there's a reason why quality sits just under value, yeah, benefits. So we apply a lot of quality assurance tools still, don't get me wrong, yeah, but we are not really advancing there anymore. We are talking now about from cradle to grave, that's one, yeah. Yeah, so we have a look at that as well. Performance management is an interesting one. We have benchmarked quite a bit in project management, but benchmarking is we just compare how they're doing. In my most recent literature that I'm actually interested in was skills development and associated topics. Performance is really kind of irrelevant. It's an outcome. Like as long as the performance kind of assembles in productivity, then it's fine. Otherwise, this is where Notion actually away from this, which is quite astonishing. Yeah? So project management has moved quite a bit. More recently, with that reason actually of performance management, we have started at more knowledge management and the learning organization. And those are contingencies that were before abandoned. Yeah? We had them already in operational research for quite some time. This is like stuff that if you study general management, you always had that one way or the other, or information management as well with the ICT solutions. Nowadays we have actually reinvented it because we have massive issues with it. Within that sits as well some more major projects and education. That should really be a mediation or media studies bubble or something like that. It's how, well, we will talk about it again in 2 weeks. About strategic misrepresentation or how to get the project without being called a liar. Yeah, so this is my interpretation of it. But it's an interesting case study that we are looking at. Yeah? So we come as well back to project success. Yeah, Sydney Opera. Has anybody been there? Sydney Opera? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah? Okay. And? Amazing? Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. What is amazing building, run over cost and everything, and a lot more heartbreaking, the architect never got a job again. This was his one and only job. So it crushed the career. Pardon?
It took about 17 years to build, didn't it?
Yeah, it took very long, but you would think with like such a capital prestige building that people would run the door in, but it was exactly the contrary. You know? So it's very, very sad actually. What was a Danish architect, and very sad story actually behind it. But we look into this, and largely not his fault. That was probably the more heartbreaking notion, yeah, the personal story behind it, the narrative. But okay, so and this is a big thing now, though, with the media studies as well. Major projects. We will talk about a brilliant law that was implemented with Olympics. Media was not allowed to report any negative facts about the Olympics, which is quite impressive. Yeah? So we have a look at that. How do we do this as project managers, or how can we avoid it in the first place? Yeah, and this will be then pretty much where we are at. Okay, clearly there are some streams. I had a different diagram. I should have really put that in. So the notion here in viewing PM research has gone from quality to optimization notions, definitions of success. Not so much what we think as a project manager. We want a successful project management experience for the whole team, of course. Yeah? But we go as well beyond that. Yeah? So there are different successes with perspectives that change. Then contingency is a very important element. Yeah? So to actually think about how we can achieve this. Process-related management, this is kind of at the core. Yeah, we look at different approaches. Here we do the international comparison. This will be good fun. And we still don't believe really in science into, yeah, how do I say that without sounding too bad? The will to do something. Yeah, we kind of parked that in Schumpeter. I think he wrote like the will to power. No, yeah. Okay, something like that. Philosophic piece, 17 something, yeah, 1789 if I'm not mistaken. But we have not actually looked at so much attitude. We do a little bit, but we look instead at the causality of it. Yeah, we look in terms of outcome. Did they behave the right way? Yeah, behavior. And then we have marketing, relational engagement. I hinted already where this is going. Then we have, of course, a huge body of knowledge with decision making and as well decision theorems that we can look at. Then we do a little bit modeling. Yeah, we set our own project management approach together. And last but not least, we look at governance. This is quite fascinating what happens in project management. This is as well an emergent topic, as you can see at the top there, a more recent thing, assurance. There are very few empirical studies on governance. If you're keen on that, we have like really good questions to investigate. but try to get the company first. I can recommend you that. I had very passionate students about governance. They could convince the companies, but it was all confidential. They could hardly use anything. So it's a big topic, but it's difficult to have like sound empirics on it, as we call it. Yeah? So we have indicative studies. You know, we know how people did it in a certain way. So here again, the overview in a way that we are relating to in a way. So most initiatives have been really led here by practitioners, and this will be as well, I think, true for your study. Yeah? So you will have the great pleasure, I hope, of doing your dissertation, of course, in this topic, yeah, and becoming a practitioner potentially. Yeah. So and that with this thing stays, of course, true, but you will have as well the Master of Science notion behind it, which means you have a very strong research dimension to it, which will actually benefit as well the industry, and encourage you to stay as well in this dialogue with academia and other practitioners. So, I have one more here. No, I didn't. Maybe. Oh yeah, this was an important thing. I nearly forgot. My apologies. I thought I have the same slide twice. The important thing to me is as well, I have participated in professional bodies now for quite some time, and the professional bodies have their place, certainly in certain countries where they are actually at representation level in the parliament, for example, and this is the case in the UK. But at the same time, it's very dangerous to see that actually those representing professional bodies have a conversation with the government and kind of construct what's desirable for practitioners, because there's often a very big gap. So what I would encourage you as well to do, look at the professional bodies and see what's actually valuable to you, and then engage in the dialogue and saying like, look, this is actually not anything that helps, that is maybe just additional paperwork, yeah, because we have now a big paper trail, quite frankly, in project management, and not all is really functional. Yeah, a lot is just standardized. And when I go then to the project management office and I ask in Nissan, hey, do you actually use your project management file? No, it's fired. Nobody takes this massive document out. Yeah, this is very bad. So then you have basically missed the point. Yeah, it has to be something functional. Projects are time constrained by definition. Yeah, very often, not always, but very often. So don't like bundle it up with stuff that you don't need. Yeah, and interdisciplinarity, I pointed that out before, so this is important to recognize as well. Be interested in the other disciplines. Often they have to tell a lot. Yeah, okay. Now, well, I have a short video for you here. This is an alternative history, and I have as well, I had last year a guest lecturer, Mary McKinley. I've uploaded you as well the video. It's actually quite long, it's 2 hours, but she talks about her personal experience and where she sees kind of the past of the project managers and where the future potentials lie. Yeah, she's as well director of the International Center for Complexity, another C, project management. No? So I've missed the C, that is pretty bad. But she's quite research active as well, and as well a consultant, and is very smart and has a very reflective view, and brings certainly a new perspective to it. I show you now the commercial adaptation, and I hope it works. No, it doesn't work. Can I open the hyperlink? Okay, a little bit picturesque entertainment along the APM's notion of the history.
Project management is about managing a complex task so that what is wanted is achieved. APM was formed by a group of people in the UK who believed that they could work out how to manage projects better. the turn of the millennium, no serious project took place without project managers. The technology had come on a very long way. Our profession was fully recognised and appreciated in society. Originating mainly in engineering and construction, it was now achieving results in almost every business and government sector.
Project and programme management has played a massive role in the successful delivery of the 2012 Games.
To my mind, we've recalibrated UK project management and in doing so set a new benchmark.
The London 2012 Olympic Games showed that we can deliver the biggest and most complicated projects the world demands, on time and within budget. After only 40 years, our profession has achieved a seriously impressive value to the community, and we are still moving into new areas and handling greater challenges. Who can say where we should be in another 40 years?
Okay, that was a very UK-centric history, if you want. Yeah, but still, nonetheless, it's like a good overview of a few projects, and I suppose I was quite heavily involved with it and a committee member. So in a way, they have like an interesting body of knowledge as well, and as well, if you're interested in it, a pretty decent package for student members. Yeah? But again, it's a question if you want to have that link. Yeah? And in the end, we saw as well where we need our space dive suit. Yeah, when you go into the galaxy plane and travel into the galaxy, that is where you need the space suit afterwards if it goes wrong. Not that it goes wrong, but yeah, if it goes wrong. Okay. Any questions at that point? I think the idea behind this is as well, there's a selection of projects where we have like very good case study material to it. So if your industry's interested in a particular industry, yeah, there's actually a good archive of insight, of tools that they have used and data that they actually came up that they used. And as I pointed out, I want to always use with the case studies kind of opposing industries to show you the diversity. And if you're in this, really interested in a specific industry, we may actually miss occasionally out what specifically is in it. Yeah? So what selection are they using? So for that is actually quite useful. Okay. So where do the global project management standards and guidelines come in? Here, this is actually quite a long story, but I will try to keep it simple and a little bit entertaining, because I was involved in it, as I pointed out earlier. So last year, there were a few professionals and academics that met on Crete in Greece, yeah, and they met there for a few reasons. But namely, this was the 26th International Project Management Association World Congress, a very long name, and they like to shorten it as just World Congress, so it looks very good on my application for funding for traveling there. But last year we really met for many reasons, and one is we had a lot of projects that failed, yeah? and there are many reasons behind it. The blame really went to economic challenging times, as given in the title. But the answer was somehow surprising to me, because standardization works, of course, on an industrial scale where you manufacture, where you repeat mechanisms. But I did think project management is not that standardizable, and we had a long debate around it. But we came up actually with a standard. So integrating project management standards was the idea, and there is now a certain joke to be given with this. This is a joke. how standards proliferate. So situation before, there are 14 competing standards. 14? This is ridiculous. We need to develop one universal standard that covers everyone's else's case. Yeah, let's do it. This is a little bit the feeling that many, I think, arrived to that Congress. And then soon after, and this is as well your situation, there are now 15 competing standards. Yeah, so it's a little bit a sad story, but they all come kind of from different backgrounds. Yeah? And I want to highlight you a few. Some are very personal based. Some are aimed at you, the practitioners, to give you an indication where you are in competence levels, yeah, where you have like certain depths of knowledge. Others are actually kind of guides that want to prepare you with terminology and give you actually an direction of how to manage even projects. Yeah? So there are different intents behind it. I highlight here a few. Be aware when you go through the examinations. Yeah, it's another joke. I hope you find that entertaining. Yeah, for a fair selection, everybody has to take the same exam. And this is as well true for the standards. Yeah, so you can actually pick the one that suits you most, or maybe the setting that you're based in. Please climb that tree, yeah, and you can see the selection. So clearly there are some issues to be had by for some of them, yeah. And this is as well true for the standards. I talk you through. This is really more something for you to have a starting point. And I want to probably start off with one that have been very kind to me, that are very research engaged. And this is a good thing. Yeah? This means that they are paying money for getting somebody independent to look at what they are doing. Yeah? So this is a good start, actually. This is normally what we do at university. And is it all that brilliant that they do? Well, they are getting there. They are at least honestly considering their mistakes and try to come up with a platform that works as well for different people. So there, for example, industry norms, yeah, and technical papers for different industries that are actually pretty impressive. They do the consideration based on the context. And what I'm referring to is International Project Management Association. They are based in Switzerland, in Zurich. Ironically, they were first founded with a name called Internet. This was in the 70s. So a lot of confusion would be had if they would have kept that name. And they have a competency-based line. This is literally a guide that shows you as a project manager how you have developed over time. Yeah? So if you use it as a skills assessment tool, then this is pretty good. Depending on what country you are in, you get charged. Yeah? So if you're in Sweden, you have Swedish Project Management Association or Institute. Not quite sure. Well, does anybody know what it is? No? It's something with Svenska Project. Yeah. Well, and they are really engaged as well with academia. They're pretty good. But the problem is there's one document, and it's called IPM Competence Baseline version 3. And there is only one European country that has that for free, and it's Austria for some reason. Yeah, but if you want it, it's for free downloadable from the Project Management Association in Austria. It's called PMA, and it's free download, so you can basically go on it and have a look at it if you want. It's quite a thorough document. They have as well the working papers, yeah, so you can see, depending on your industry, what they favor. They yeah, it's all basically on their web page. And this is the international one, so they don't have a specialized one. In the UK, we have kind of it's still the umbrella, the IPMA, although the IPM doesn't like to hear that often, or they don't really like it. But it's here, the UK one, we have actually our own professional competence framework. Yeah, so it's called the Baseline. And that is as well free for download if you want to have the overview, but then you have to pay for it or become a member. Then you get it with a membership fee. Yeah? And the body of knowledge, I've actually edited the draft, so I've uploaded you the draft version. It's not the final version, so this is what I'm allowed to do. Otherwise, we have it as well in the library, the final piece. Yeah, it hasn't changed a lot, I can tell you that much. But So, and they literally have a guiding document. They recommend you different methods depending on your setting to perform with. And we will have in the lectures always again a critical look at those bodies to compare what they actually can tell us to certain settings. The one that is probably most famous comes Prince 2, yeah, and the aligned methodology comes from the Office of Government of Commerce, was developed because they had massive issues with, they had a project management office, but they didn't really perform as they anticipated. And Prince 2 is actually outlined there, but if you want to understand it, Prince 2 is actually a methodology that you do a training course against. But if you're interested in this, again, Nigel Smith, yeah, in my project engineering project management, that way around. He has actually a super chapter about it, 17, really summarizing the development, where it's coming from, when it's useful. He has even a critical analysis and kind of tools and techniques that they are using, yeah, or what they are subscribing. And it's what does Prince stand for? Projects are. PR is project, sorry, in, and then? Okay, maybe another homework. Basically, you will see it's controlled environment, so not too much homework now. But they have basically contextual indications there. Yeah?
And there's Prince 2, so is there any Prince 1 then?
Yeah, this is literally what Nigel describes.
Right.
So Prince wasn't called Prince 1, yeah, but was called Prince. You will see this is very much focused on IT. I hope that, yeah, okay. More questions to this? We will cover a lot of the tools, yeah, so if you're interested, we get often the question, should I do the certification scheme? Well, after this degree you can just go to the test and do it, but it's a question if you even want that, yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was as well talking that direction. Yeah. Better? Yeah. So, in other words, it's a certificate for a certain training. Yeah. Then this is what we have done. I'm really sorry for it already. Yeah. So don't stick too close to it. From the ISO, we have actually developed and agreed the ISO standard. There's now a new version which comes out this year. No, 2014. So this is, yeah. We agreed the 2012 version literally in Crete. This is what we were doing on the World Congress. Yeah, so this is now out. We have, of course, access as a university to it. You can have a look. It's a competence framework again. Yeah, we have then different projects that you can perform against. And it's a pretty cool framework, especially if you have a controlled environment. You will actually arrive at a happy team, so it's actually quite soft evaluation. We have worked very long on it, and I have to say, successful project evaluated under this framework with the Red Bull jump would be successful. You don't need to hit all the success criteria necessarily, as long as the overall performance and user are actually having their successful output. Yeah? So there are a lot of technicalities in this, and it has costed a lot of people, I think, gray hair or losing hair. And I was slightly as well under those, so it's quite bad. Then we have the Project Management Institute, and oh, I'm lying there. This is pretty bad. The project management, a guide to the project management body of knowledge, is actually not yet published. If you want to have a look, come to me. I have the draft. Yeah. It's supposed to be published this year, but I don't think it will be published this year, quite frankly. Yeah. Then we have a British standard as well. Yeah. This is actually a subsection under guidance to project management. So it's section 2. This is as well about competencies. The standard itself lines as well what counts as a project. So they have their definitions. Yeah. Another actually cool one that I really like is the Project Management Association of Japan and the Engineering Advancement Association of Japan. This is a really cool stuff. And they have as well Project Management Body of Knowledge, and they have actually done it by industry. But it's massive. BE won't with this. It's as well free download. So the Japanese as well, huge friends of sharing. Sharing is caring or something like that. So and they have as well done themselves a guide of project and program management for enterprise innovation, and this is as well pretty good stuff. Yeah? So it's again a good indicator. If you want to hear a little bit about the history of those bodies, then have a look at Morris et al. They were like 5 high-ranking professors that had helped in a lot of the standards and explain a little bit what context they are fitting. Yeah. Are there any questions that we should put forward or no? Okay. Okay. Otherwise, I have as well a small tool for the evolution of the project management of competencies. This has been a long walk, and I should really say that this was work that we just partly really helped with. This was done by the VW group, who have like their own coaching project management office, which is pretty cool. They do a lot of good stuff, and or good. They make it very visual. And one is a project roadmap. Yeah, it's project minus roadmap. Either DE or .com, and this is literally the coaching office from VW, and they are kind of pointing out where we came from. Yeah, Raimo Hübner, a German guy. He is. If you want to become a member, just write him an email. Say that you are on this course, and you will get full access. Yeah, I promise you that. He has really looked at the different tools and techniques. And to show you a little bit, first of all, it starts off by just coming to terms that you are actually doing a project, and the hard facts. It's really the quantifying business, yeah, like measuring and visualizing. But then there's the soft facts, which are normally badly metaphorically described as the iceberg syndrome, yeah, which is of course not that good as a metaphor, but still. So it's a people, yeah. So you see only a little bit of the iceberg on the top, but in reality the hidden is beneath. And then you move on really to the multi-project management, and here it comes to more projects. How do you actually deal with this? Then we have the intercultural and multi-project management, and this is cool stuff. Yeah? I'll show you in a second why it's cool stuff. And then we have even cooperation management. This is more at the moment. Yeah, and then this is where we are not yet really there. I mean, already the intercultural project challenge is kind of like a difficult one. This is where we are maybe now, where we make headway with our tools and techniques. But then we have as well the life-work force balance. Actually, let me close the door quickly. So what is an interesting tool that they have given us? The last one is really my favorite. It's a conscious level of balance. I hope you will all arrive there. Yeah? This is very important because it's a notion. I'm not a great fan of this duality of fear and happiness because there's no empiric for it, ironically. But I have another one. So the evolution is actually as well illustrated. I hope this works. So this is literally the project roadmap, and you can use it as an integrative tool, and he describes in a lot of detail in many languages. Oh, and the tool doesn't work. This is quite sad, actually. Let's see if it works. Oh, it does work. This is the German version. Here's the English one. So he has literally mapped it out against the concepts that have been applied to actually make it a conscious effort. Yeah, and so the cultural model is actually quite sophisticated. We have just a brief look at it. Oh yeah, and this is the mediated self at the end. But you can actually measure it and use it as an empirical tool to again measure where you are in terms of those achievements in your organization. Yeah, where do you actually hit it? Do you do international procurement, or do you build international relationships? Do you do actually a collaboration on international level, or do you just make deals international? Yeah, there's a big difference, and he describes that quite well. And it's a smart tool. It's a quantification tool too. You have to, of course, make a certain allowances for it. It's actually quite complicated, the model, but we will try to get our head around it. Yeah. And again, I've said as well in the references, so if you want to have a look at this, it's actually good fun to work around with it. And many of my students that work more on consultancy grounds or coaching or mentor schemes, they really like the small diagrams because they are good pictures to anchor things. I won't use them too much, but on occasions they are very good. But you get basically a whole atlas of those, and this is pretty cool. But it's a thorough read, and BB1, it's slightly biased towards automotive and aerospace. So that is maybe a word of warning on that one. Yeah. I would leave it with that for now. I know it was a lot to take in and quite dry. Not so many case studies, unfortunately. Do we have any questions? Do we have any written questions? No.
What do you suggest we actually read, or do you suggest we go over this again ourselves? Because that's a lot to take in.
Well, literally, I just summarized something. Reading for next week is here. Yeah, so you have that already uploaded. In a way, this was just the introduction, I think, of most project management books. You will see they differ greatly. Yeah? Depending on the language you are reading in, they will differ even more so. Yeah? But the concepts that we are going through now, they will be pretty much always the same. They work as an umbrella. And with the case studies, you will really familiarize as well with the industrial specific tools and techniques. Yeah?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
The coursework for this one, does it get issued and what?
You have it already. Sorry, yeah. The coursework we're going through it this week. First we will, it's group work and a little bit individual work. You will be literally allocated after this lecture in the seminars into groups. Yeah? And in those groups you will have to decide what you want to do. There are many options here. But the coursework is 65% marked on group work and 35% on individual coursework. Yeah?
I got one question. It's about like having seminars. It really doesn't say on the timetable that which one is seminar. So how do we define?
I had that problem before. I'll show you quickly. If you go on the Northumbria webpage, you have actually here, like at the bottom of the webpage, there is a link called timetable. If you click on it, you can kind of put your student number in, and then you get your timetable. I do it quickly for myself. And then you have to pick first semester, and then grid timetable is quite functional. And this literally gives you all the slots that you have. Yeah, so you can see we have, oh, one of the seminars is gone. This is quite concerning. Pardon? Yeah, I know, on my Northumbria you can't see the difference. This is why I'm showing this. Here it's actually written, it's in the code, yeah? So there's something written like 1L101, so L is for lecture, and if it's an S, then it's seminar. Yeah? Any other questions? Just for the few that have the Thursday seminar in the morning, this is being redone at the moment. We haven't lost you, yeah? It was the wrong room number, so this gets edited at the moment. This is why there is nothing at the moment. We still have the seminar from 11 to 1, yeah? So don't worry.